So, welcome everybody. But you know what? That actually wasn't clapping in the can. We actually have 18 people here, not 18 beautiful people, excuse me, that are here taking the whole life coaching course, and some of them are staying next week for the Wolf Deep Tissue certification. And anyways, I think we're having a pretty good time, right, guys? So what we're going to be doing is when we go and we talk about fibroids to a tumor today, they're just going to ask questions whenever they feel like it. So just put your hands up, ask questions. And you know what? Sometimes it's the questions that really make it. You know, if I could have a live audience all the time, I would do that. Because, yeah, you know, I just don't want to stand up here and be some kind of talking puppet all the time. Anyways, I want to thank everybody for coming. I hope you're enjoying your summer. It's gotten really hot here in Kelowna, and we're loving it. I actually went swimming the other night, didn't we? Yeah. Yeah, that's my friend Simon, and he's from Ireland. And I'm off to Ireland in August to do what's called Supercharge Your Life. And that's where on Saturday, we do everything that you need to do physically, inside and out, outside and in, for your body and your family and your home. And then on Sunday, we do the emotional training. And this is where everybody runs away from it and nobody really needs it. Because, why? Because when somebody used to get emotional counseling 30 years ago, they figured that they were psycho, right? But guess what? I have a real big surprise for you. You're all psycho. Yeah. And the thing is that you don't believe you are, because we all are. I am. You know, when you take a look at it, think about it. Let's take the rationale here. The main health care in North America is cut, poison, and burn. And I know some people don't like that, but surgery, right? Radiation, chemotherapy, and also pharmaceutical drugs. Tell me what else it is. Well, sometimes it's a friendly smile from the nurses, okay, because they're feminine, they're beautiful, and they really try to support, but usually medical doctors are really sterile, and they're usually male, and if they're not male, they're made to be male. So the reality is that when you actually decide that your health care is going to be the medical care, think about it. It's got nothing to do with love. It's got nothing to do with fresh foods. It's got nothing to do with fresh water. It's got nothing to do with breathing, right? And then all the tests that they have orchestrate you down this one alley called specialists. Did you ever notice something? Specialists only look at one part of your body. And looking at one part of your body and not looking at the whole picture, that's a dangerous thing. So, but the whole picture here that we're trying to talk about today is you. You're the whole picture. And when you understand that you are also the whole answer, from the minute you wake up in the morning and you take that beautiful head off the pillow until you put it back down again, you are the only person that's in charge of your body. You're the only person that can make the difference. Okay? So remember something. You're only as good as you're only good till the next treatment. How many people go from treatment to treatment, therapist to therapist, drug to drug, and you know what? Are you getting tired of explaining about your situation to everyone and then finding no answers and then banging your head? Well, I'm not telling you I'm the answer. I'm telling you that you're the answer. Okay, so did you get that? So this is not a pitch for Dr. Wolf. This is a pitch for you. You're the answer. Soon as you start taking a look what you think, what you eat, what you drink, what you do, what you poo, then you're going to get this together. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about fibroids to a tumor. And before we go on to that, here's my schedule. Yeah. So if you want to take a look at my event schedule, you can go to my website. I'm not going to do the whole thing or else there goes the whole webinar. But in June, well, but what about tomorrow? Isn't there something tomorrow? What?
Just being recorded.
Okay, all right. Sorry. Anyways, okay. Coast to Coast. If you know that radio station, I'll be on that on June the 8th. And then I'm doing a pain-free living summit on June the 15th. And then I'm going to Vegas. Yeah, I've got my own show now that Elvis has left the building. And that's going to be at the Gold Nugget. And I'm going to be doing 3 lectures there, one on emotions and another one on autoimmune disease. And another one, I'm going to show how to do one-shot therapy using a shot glass. We are in a bar casino. And how to use a shot glass to get rid of scar tissue throughout the body, even on your face. Okay? And do like a natural facelift for yourself. All right. And then that's for the IACT, which is the International Association of Colon Therapists. And then I'm doing the Ultimate Health Summit. And that's in Orlando, and that's with Ty Bollinger. And there'll be 2,000 people in the audience and a minimum of 250,000 people online. So I'll be wearing a diaper that day, okay? So then I'm doing the Breast Cancer Awareness Show on June the 24th. And then June the 28th, Structured Water Telecast with Clayton Nolte, all right? All right, so let's move on. And if you want to check out the schedule and what we're doing, did we already pick what the next webinar was going to be? No, we didn't. Okay. All right, well, we'll let you know that. All right. And then the other thing is like I said, I will be in August. I'll be there for my birthday, August the 9th, and we'll be doing the Supercharge Your Life in Ireland, Wexford, Ireland. And I'll also be doing 2 night lectures there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll be going back there in October, right?
That's right.
To do a 3-week training, right? We'll be doing the Brave Heart Whole Life Coach and the Deep Tissue Training. So if you know anybody in Ireland or in the UK, let them know, okay?
Or
all right.
Europe.
What?
Or Europe.
Or Europe, yeah. Yeah, it's not that far, is it?
No.
Okay. All right, here's our specials. Order any of these products, Fiber Clear 180 capsules and more, curcumin cayenne 180 capsules or more, our HCl product. An HCl, for those of you who don't know about it, that just means hydrochloric acid, but they're in capsules. So do you get bloated? Do you feel nauseous after a meal? Do you feel like you can't think after a meal? Do you feel tired after a meal? Do you feel gassy after a meal? Do you have any low back pain after a meal? Do you burp after a meal? Do you feel like you've got gas coming out the back end within 20 minutes? So understand that the hydrochloric acid in your stomach is the guard dog. If you don't have a guard dog, then what happens is parasites, bacteria, fungus, viruses, and will come through and get into your small intestine where all hell will break loose. So that, and you'll notice something. Do you notice how the older you get, you used to be able to eat 8 pieces of pizza? Now you eat 2 and you can't digest that. Well, that means you need hydrochloric acid because your hydrochloric acid is diluting itself down, and instead of being like battery acid, now it's like vinegar. Okay, so I'll tell you this much. Everybody knows I do a lot of juicing, I do fresh and raw, but I do not eat a cooked food meal without taking hydrochloric acid. Now, O-types, they can digest cooked food meals and proteins better, but it doesn't mean they don't need it, okay? The next thing is our L-glutamine, and our L-glutamine, you'll find that in our HGH product, and also we have just L-glutamine itself that you can mix to your blender drinks. And L-glutamine, what that's for is autoimmune disease, which everybody suffers from, whether you know it or not, whether you've been diagnosed or not. Where do you think all of that pain and suffering? I mean, most people, their pain and suffering is 60 to 80% in their tummy, but everybody gets it, so everybody's used to it. So until they have it in their joints or in their muscles, then it doesn't matter, right? Because it is normal to have improper digestion today, isn't it? Burp, fart, you know, we just keep on doing it, and everybody's doing it, okay? And the Daily Cleanse Tea, and get 2 weeks of the Daily Cleanse Tea for free, okay? Valid until June the 14th, all right? Okay, so let's talk about this. So the first thing is I know that today is called Fibroids to a Tumor, but understand something. I'm going to go through this with you, but remember this, that a cancer tumor is mainly scar tissue, not mutated cells, cancer cells. Do you actually think that it is like that? I will prove to you today, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you can actually work on a tumor, and they tell you not to touch it. So did you ever notice we're never supposed to touch ourselves? We can hug each other, we can wash our bodies, but no, don't ever learn how to do deep tissue so that you can break down the scar tissue for your wife in her breast. Don't ever learn how to break down the scar tissue that's in her groin. Oh no, let's just let it grow. And oh, listen, I'll tell you what, we can't do much for that. We can give you some painkillers. And you know what? When it gets big enough, then we'll go in and we'll cut it out. So what you got to understand is that scar tissue, it grows like roots, and it wraps itself around your uterus, wraps itself around your ovaries, wraps itself around your bladder, and roots right in. So why do you think okay, so if I were to, and I would never do this, but if you were to put a rope around somebody's neck and bring it really tight, what are you doing? You're strangling them. So now let's decrease the oxygen in somebody, right? You're strangling them. They're losing their life force. So all this scar tissue that's actually around the breast, all the scar tissue that's in the groin, these are called beaver dams. Now, these dams are stopping waste from coming out. They're stopping oxygen and nutrition from coming in. So you bring down the flow, you bring down the energy. Now, we know this, that when you bring down the actual oxygen content and the nutrient content in a cell by around 35% for an extended period of time, then that cell has to die or it has to mutate, which means because if there's not enough oxygen, it can't live. So now it's going to live off of what? It's going to live off of what? It's going to live off of sugar, it's going to live off of lactic acid. So it becomes something foreign. But it had to become that. So when I tell you that cancer saves your life, would you rather die right away, or would you rather buy some time so that you could wake up and learn how to love yourself and learn what you're putting in your mouth? Do you actually, every time you grab something, do you say, will this give me life? Does this vibrate higher than my body? Or does this vibrate low? Does this have any nutrition in it? Is it full of chemicals? Is it going to dehydrate me? You don't. But either does the rest of your family. Oh, well, wait a minute. Either do your neighbors. Oh, wait a minute. Either does all the people at your church. It's very rare that you see people actually looking after themselves and actually becoming detectives. You know, if you don't become a detective today, you're in trouble. With all this fear-mongering, all this processed food, all this latest, greatest, improved food. And understand something. Corporations are not human beings. So they have no feelings, okay? They just have shareholders, right? So you need to think about what you put in your mouth. Will this give me life? And remember something, if it's not fresh and raw, then it's not going to give you life. And don't kid yourself either. Health food stores, 30% of the store is healthy. The other 70% isn't. There's no such thing as health food, junk food. It's all junk food. All right? And then a supermarket is 90% toxic. I mean, you can't even hardly walk into the store in some of the aisles and take in the fumes if you've got any type of environmental illness. It's going to knock you right on your butt. And that's because they sell us all these chemicals to put on our body and to clean our homes that are actually causing the cancers. All right, so let's talk about it. So first we're going to make sure what? We are going to make sure that when we sit down at the table, that we are actually going to create an environment of love. You're not going to sit down at the table and talk to your child about how they misbehaved, how they didn't do their homework, or how your wife didn't come through for you, your husband didn't come through for you. You're going to sit down at the table and you're going to talk and you're going to compliment everyone. You're going to bless the food. You're going to bless your family. You're going to talk about beautiful things or don't talk. Because every time that you've got to bring up some kind of problem, they don't chew their food, they take it down in chunks, they have upset stomachs, and then you run to the doctor for the doctor to fix it when you are actually the toxic problem. You know, the home has to become a safe zone. I want to ask you a question. Do you feel safe with your family? Do your children feel safe with you? Can your children talk to you about anything and not get punished? Can you sit down with them and say, are you ever going to do that again? What did you learn from that? So there's where cancer starts. There's where cancer starts. The C in cancer stands for corruption. And that corruption is the emotional corruption, okay, and the corruption from the media that are only been bought by the corporations to get into your home. All right. So let's move on. So we chewed that food really well. But what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we drink our solids and chew our liquids. So when you bring in something nutritional into your mouth, you're not just going to gulp it down if it's a liquid. You're going to keep it in there just for a couple seconds because you want to mix it with the enzymes and then it comes down. If it's a food, you're going to make sure that you chew that food. Try this. Just try this one meal and then give me a call. And I mean, give me a call. People say, give them a call. Yeah, we take calls. We love calls. We'll take as many calls as you give us. So now, chew your food and chew your food down to the smallest particle. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you're eating a salad or you're eating meat, I want you to chew that until it becomes a liquid, and then I don't want you to swallow it because it's impossible, because your body's going to take it down anyway. When it becomes a liquid, your body will actually just pull it down, just like a magnet. Now, do that and you will eat 1/3 the food and you will have 2/3 more energy right off the bat. So when you're complaining about how expensive organic food is, you could buy organic food because you'd be eating 2/3 or half less. And even if it's double, because now you're chewing your food instead of trying to kill yourself. You know, that's why people need to drink or they choke at their meals, is because they're taking all these chunks down. I don't know, you think you have another set of dentures down here that are going to re-chew it for you, but that's not going to happen, okay? So now the food comes down and it comes into the stomach, okay? So the stomach being right in here, okay? So when the food comes into the stomach, that's when we want to make sure that we have lots of hydrochloric acid, and that's when we need that extra support. So if you find yourself burping or gas, like we talked about, or bloating, then you want to take hydrochloric acid. And you know what? You're worth it. Okay, so now you're complaining again about the food. Well, it costs so much. Well, you know what? If it's turning on you, that means that you've got autoimmune disease. There you go. How's that? That's inflammation of the intestines and in the stomach. So now the deal is if the food isn't broken down and it comes into the small intestine and it's not a small enough particle, you're not absorbing it. It's putrefying. It's rotting inside of you, creating the inflammation. So again, we complain about food prices, don't we? Oh, I can't afford organic. Well, just remember something. Organic, they'll say, well, I know that some food is, and if you can't afford organic, then get a structure unit and spray your salad, okay, or soak the food in structured water. Check it out, all right? So now it's in the stomach. Your stomach kind of turns it around, and it like a washing machine, and it's trying to break it down and mix all the hydrochloric acid in it, break it down smaller, so it comes into your small intestine right here. There's the stomach. Here's the small intestine. Small intestine is 22 feet long. Did you get that? 22 feet long. So that means it's got a long trip. Now here's the deal. Only sip at meals. Do not guzzle. Remember something. If you find yourself having to guzzle at meals, then that means you're taking down big chunks, right? This isn't a river and you're not putting logs in there, all right? So chop it down. Chop those logs down to little bits and pieces. Now, when it gets into the small intestine, you have these little hairs called villi. Those hairs are going to pick up the nutrients. Now everybody's going, hey, what is this? This is called Fibroids to a Tumor lecture. Well, I'm trying to show you how it's made. This is how it's made. And guess what? Oh, wait a minute here. You actually believe that lack of surgery, because of lack of surgery, you've got cancer. No, wait a minute. No. You've got cancer because of lack of chemo. No, lack of radiation. No, you got cancer because of lack of love, and nobody cares if they teach you how to eat right. And you're never going to learn how to eat right if you listen to your friends and family or anybody out there in the medical system, because they're not allowed to talk about real health. So now, the food's in 22 feet in here, guys. Now, if you're drinking alcohol, if you're taking in lots of sugars and lots of processed foods, you're breaking off all these hairs in here that pick up the nutrients. And then you create inflammation in here, and you have what's called tight junctions. Those junctions open up, And then the chemicals, the protein particles, okay, and the sugars all get in here. Oh, and wait a minute, because your hydrochloric acid is weak in your stomach. And why does your hydrochloric acid also get weak in your stomach? Because guess what? Did you ever say this? You make me sick to my stomach. Did you ever say that my stomach's in knots? Did you ever say I can't digest this problem? Did you ever say I can't deal with this? I've got butterflies. I feel sick to my stomach like I'm going to throw up, and you didn't eat anything? Well, that's because you have belief systems and you have emotional things going on in your family that you're not dealing with. And you have belief systems that you learned a long time ago because your subconscious is 10,000 times stronger than your conscious mind, and you're unable to process emotions properly. Oh, that's just Jimmy. He's always been like that. Well, then guess what? He's always going to be like that, so make sure you don't marry him, okay? So now, here's the deal. Until we take a look at our belief systems around what we eat, how we live, how we think, then this is going to continue to happen, because the C in cancer stands for corruption, and it's coming all around us. You know, your family, your friends, and even the health practitioners you go to, chances are they're brainwashed. You know what? I go all the way, all right? Because I've learned how to love myself completely. And if I'm going to love myself completely, I'm going to go all the way with myself. I'm going to go all the way with my family, and I'm going to hold the line. And I'm going to keep the corporations, I'm going to keep the corruption out of my home. Now, so the small intestine, the food's moving along. Then it's going to come, hopefully, it's going to make it because your food combined properly, which means you didn't eat a protein with a starch, right? Did you ever see rice and beans? How does it make you feel? Tired. How does potatoes, how's the potato, the meat and potato man looking? Huh? And then he's sitting there rubbing it. Why is he rubbing it? Because he's trying to calm the beast. And what is the beast? The beast is that your bacteria are your immune system, and they are 70 to 80%, everybody's disputing it where that might be, but 70 to 80% of your immune system is right here, guys. You know, the thing that you like to rub because you're looking to get a wish. Now, here's the deal that I really would wish that you'd wake up, because that bacteria that used to be good, that's going to bad bacteria, is creating the bad moods, Mr. Grumpy. When you start yelling at your children, you start, oh, he's just had a hard day. No, you haven't. You're just full of poop, and you're reabsorbing your poop, and it's making you toxic, and it's making you miserable. That's why they say, I feel E. Right, got it. All right, because we don't feel good when this waste is rotting inside of us, because you need to understand something. Wherever there is inflammation, there is tissue rotting. Did you get that? Wherever there's inflammation, your tissue is rotting, okay? And when your tissue starts to rot, that's what we call cancer. That's what we call fungus and mold and parasites and worms. They all go to that area. That's why you'll always find with fibroids and with tumors, there's always fungus in them, there's always bad bacteria in them, and there's always worms in them, right? And 9 out of 10 people have worms anyways. But a lot of people have tapeworms. And you'll find people with fibroids, they'll find that they're tired. Do you know why? Because the body is losing a lot of energy feeding the fibroid. And usually in the fibroid, you'll find a nest of worms, and they will take all the nutrition from you. They will just drain you, okay? Yeah, you ever watch that movie Alien? Well, that's what's going on, okay? There's an alien living in there, and it's draining you of the nutrition. So you're trying to eat well. So we got to bring up the vibration in the body so that the worms will leave. Because remember something, what came first? The mosquito or the swamp? The swamp came first, then the mosquito came, right? So circulation is the key. So now, in the small intestine, then it's going to go to the large intestine. Now you see this intestine here, this is not the average looking intestine. Okay, so domino effect of unconscious living. High vibrational beings have cancer cells but never die from them. Now you have to understand, if you take a look at your environment inside your house, do you actually have Do you have Wi-Fi in your house? You know, do you have a smart meter? Do you have everybody's cell phones on all the time? Do you sleep with your cell phone? Do you have an alarm clock, a plug-in alarm clock in your bedroom? Do you have a microwave that you work off of? You're radiating yourself and you're bringing yourself down. You know, if a person has cancer or a fibroid and they don't get all of this toxicity out of their home, it's going to grow. Because everything is frequency. Everything is frequency. Okay, so how much energy does a sick person have? Not a lot, right? So their frequency is low. Okay, how much energy does a dead person have? Absolutely none. So when a person has low frequency, they have low energy, and they're being bombarded with all these toxic things. Okay, a fibroid or a tumor will continue to grow, okay, because that is the storage tank. Instead of having all the toxins flow around, the body, just like, you know how an onion has layers? So what happens is, okay, so the body first encapsulates the toxin, right? And then the toxin it'll inflame, right? Because it irritates the tissue. So the body says, send fibrin, send fibrin. So the body makes microscopic, what we call fibrin. And once it sends enough, then you get a ball of scar tissue. Then guess what? You don't change your diet. You don't get rid of the inflammation. So as long as the toxins keep coming in, the fibrin keeps coming, keeps coming. Fibroid grows, tumor grows, fibroid grows, tumor grows. So if you notice, wherever it started, the cancer, that's where it's the hardest because it's more impacted. Okay, it's just like cement. The longer it's been there, the more it dries, the harder it gets. So let's keep moving. So we live in a 911 society. We live in the age of conflict and anxiety. I don't know if you know this, but we only had 3 traumatic experiences per month 100 years ago. We now have 13 a day. And most of those are based on fear, which means false evidence appearing real. Every one of you out there do this. Unless you've taken my Braveheart course or my whole life coaching course, or you've taken something like that to reprogram yourself, every day you go through your list of 9 to 12 things that are going to go wrong that never do. 90% of all your worrying doesn't even exist, okay? And you actually create this because you're addicted. Ready for this? You're addicted to the panic. You're addicted to the emergency. That's why people watch the news. Why would anybody watch the news? You know it's all made up. It's BS, right? Dysfunctional belief systems. It's all made up. I mean, you watch the news for half an hour and, you know, geez, anybody with any common sense would say, wow, if that's really what the world's like, then tomorrow that's it, it's over. But you know, the world never ends. It's the same day every day. The sun rises. It could be a beautiful day, but it's all in your mind. And you know what? But you'll still watch the news before you go to bed to create the nightmares, to talk to your wife or to your husband and tell them how bad things are and we better protect the kids and this world has become a very bad place. But that's exactly what they want, because guess what? Did you know that people who watch the news, they spend more money on things that they don't need and shopping because of anxiety, and they're terrible shoppers because they're always fearful, right? And when you really start loving yourself, you don't need a lot. You're always going to try to fill yourself up with something until you start honoring yourself. So just understand this, that you're creating anxiety throughout your day. Now let's get back to this. Take a look and watch yourself and tell me that you are living more than 2% joy. You know what 2% joy is? Oh, I love this place. I just so much love being alive. This is such a beautiful experience. Yeah, right, whatever. So that doesn't happen, but I will tell you that I have that no matter what. So anyways, here we are, and I'm teaching a class here, and this was not yesterday, the day before. So my son was on his motorcycle, and a lady did a U-turn, and he hit the car and flew over. So Lori came, who's my partner, and told me that Sage just smashed into a car. And I said, is he okay? Yes, he's on his way to the hospital. What do you want to do? I said, nothing. If he's okay, I'm going to stay right here. Now, would you do that? Now you can say, well, that's because you're heartless, Daryl. And I'll tell you that's not true. My son, he's 19 years old. He needs to understand something. He needs to learn to look after himself. He will get back home here. And I called him when the class was finished, right? He was still at the hospital. But I'm going to be here right now. Can you be here right now? Or do you want to get involved in all the chaos and all the made up crises that don't even exist? You know what they're doing to you, right? You know what they want to do to you, right? They want to drive you nuts so that you'll buy their drugs so that... Anyways, let's keep going. So what I was saying is that we live in a 911 emergency right now, okay? And here's the deal. Tell me we don't. Tell me how many times that something happens in your home that is a so-called crisis and everybody goes, okay, so what can we do to help? Let's stay calm. If we can't do anything to help, let's all just do something to really hold the peace here. Tell me that that's what goes on in your family. So they're always looking to put you into crisis. Now let's look at this. When we talk about that, if you look at the medical system, they will never come to your rescue unless you are crying for drugs or surgery or chemotherapy or radiation. Or you get to go see a specialist, a nose specialist. Ear, eyes, and nose specialist. So he's only going to look at that area. He doesn't look at the bowels that actually cause the fungal problem or the eye problem, right? Okay, so that's just the wrong way to go. But then let's take a look at the natural health field, where most natural health practitioners will tell you, well, you should cleanse every 3 months. And then some will say every 6 months, or some will say every 12 months, or some will say just cleanse when you start to feel sick. I mean, what are we talking about here? So we're talking about people that don't know how to honor themselves on a daily basis. So if we were to gently cleanse each and every day, and I'm talking about, what would you rather do? Dam it all up and then blow up the dam and then drown the town? Because that's what happens. Because when you do a deep cleanse and you're already chronic fatigued and tired and toxic, and your organs are already overburdened, or else you wouldn't be feeling like crap, and then you go and you release everything, and then you wonder why you have migraines and all your joints hurt and your muscles hurt, right? And then after you get through that, you go, wow, I'm starting to feel really good. I haven't felt this good. And then guess what? Within 10 days to 2 weeks, you feel crappy again. Are you kidding me here? I mean, you are just corporate run, you know? Oh, here's one for you. It says, I don't know. I got a riddle. So, why are zombies so popular? Because like attracts like. Because we have been eating foods that dumb us down so much that we don't think about what we think about anymore. And take a look at it. Look at the stuff that you'll go through. You'll actually go through the grocery store and you'll throw in all this toxic stuff because your kids like it. Or you'll have the excuse that they like it, and when they go to bed, you and your husband eat it. Okay, so now, if we could just embrace doing gentle, baby, loving steps each and every day. So that's why I invented the daily cleansing tea, because it's good for pets, but it's good for everyone. But if you were to gently cleanse, and this isn't a laxative, if you were to gently cleanse each and every day, well then, wait a minute here. You have to actually reabsorb your own toxic waste to get into your bloodstream, to go to wherever the weakened tissues are in your body for the toxins to be there. And we know with women, it's usually the breasts or it's the pelvic region. With men, it's the pelvic region. We also know that within the next 5 years, that prostate cancer is going to go up 40 to 60%. And it's going to keep doing that every 5 years, okay? And do you know why? Why? And that's the same thing with prostate cancer. It's the same thing with ovarian or uterine cancer. it's going to go up as well. And the same thing with breast cancer, because we eat more junk. The bag of chips are bigger now. The ice cream's bigger. Everything is mega. Do you notice that? And do you know why all the processed foods are so cheap? Well, because they get you at the other end. They fill you up with the toxins so that they create the inflammation, and then you got to buy their drugs. Okay, so check into the daily cleansing tea. I promise you, you know, this, you can do it for just 1 month if you want, but if you were to do it every day for the rest of your life, and we're talking about $1.10 a day here, you're taking the load off of your immune system, the major part, which is, and also, who really wants to look pregnant? I mean, come on. Take a look right now at the people that are beside you in your home now, or look down at your own tummy. How's it hanging? Is it hanging down and out? That's your immune system. All right, when our mind is overwhelmed, we overreact. So if you can't do this, breathe in 5 seconds, breathe out 5 seconds, and just do that. When there's chaos, don't open your mouth, don't go crazy. In and out, 5 seconds, and do that for 30 seconds. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Put your hand on your heart, over your heart area, and just, because wherever you touch, that's where your mind goes. Let's bring your mind down to your heart, and then let's not do anything crazy, okay? Because every time that you get anxious and you panic, then you're left to clean up a mess. All right, so when the body is overwhelmed, it overreacts. Equals pain, inflammation, scar tissue formation. Did you ever notice that when you overreact, you either don't eat, you overeat, or you eat garbage, or you don't drink at all? Because when you overreact, you're not loving yourself. So what you want to, you don't drink water, and everybody says they do. You know, even my class here, you know, they say they drink water, and then we get right into it, and they find out they don't drink as much water as they think. Because what you need to do is you need to get like a quart container if you're a woman, and at least do 3 of those a day. And if you're a man, you need to do 4 to 6 depending on your weight. And it should be structured water. And oh, and if you're drinking from a plastic bottle, just know that there is no such thing as chemical-free plastic. So, all right. So remember, images equal thoughts. And you go directly working through the mind. You're working with the past. When you come up through the heart, all right, it's not going to be a negative feeling. It has to be a positive one, which will then go into the mind to release positive chemicals. Because your emotions decide what chemical is going to be released, one that heals or one that doesn't. Now, images equal thoughts. Thoughts create emotions. Emotions create things, right? So when you get 2 people that love each other and come together, they can actually create a baby. So love, when 2 people come together in love, they actually, their energy, their frequency can create a baby. That's amazing, isn't it? That is just like phenomenal. And then when you've got negative emotion will create a negative lifestyle and a negative diet. And that will actually create what? A tumor. So depending on the emotion will depend what you... Okay, so energy creates matter. And if you don't understand that, anytime that you ever put your energy into something, you create it. Whether it's a table, whether it's growing a plant, whether it's growing in a relationship, it doesn't matter. And that's how it all is. We are energy in matter. So being that we're energy in matter, when we focus our energy somewhere, we create matter. This or this. So you know this. I could talk to you right now, the saddest story in the world, and if I got you to breathe in and out slowly, because when you breathe in and out slowly, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, do you know what you're doing? You're telling your body it's safe. And when you put a smile on your face, you're releasing healing chemicals. So go ahead. She's got a tumor. Go ahead and talk about how you're so worried about her dying. talk about health. What are we going to do? We have, oh my God, what are we going to do? What do you think you're doing right now? So you're either going to change your mood, okay, or you're going to create something really awful. You know, the worst thing for somebody that's sick, it's called a family. Because families have dysfunctional beliefs. Because people do not, most families, most people think they know things, they only know from the media. All right? So they know from the media, and they know from other family members and other people, and that information is toxic. You know, I just talked to a couple today on the phone, and he's got cancer. And I just talked to him for 10 minutes because people need to do a consult. I'm not going to do Band-Aid therapy, but I talked to him for 10 minutes and they, oh yeah, we're getting it together, we're getting it together. Well, people are getting it together like they're going to live till they're 500. And the other thing is by the time I finished, 50% probably of the food in their fridge and in the cupboard is actually feeding his cancer, right? And then the Wi-Fi is on in their house. And God knows what else they're doing. And God knows how many relatives and friends are calling up, well, man, I heard about the cancer, you know. Just really, just have faith, right? So, excuse me. So, just have faith. So that's the thing, just have faith? No. How about take action? No, it's not working? There. You can tell that we have a low budget, okay? No. I'll get to the question. I need to finish the thought. They keep putting this thing up in front of my face like I can't see it. All right. So, now. Where was I?
Cancer. Creates cancer.
What? Oh, yeah, right. So these people are beautiful people. They're loving people. We know that. Everybody loves with their heart. But the thing is that we have not been educated. I mean, take a look at our children. By the time they finish at high school, they don't know how to read, they don't know how to print, they don't know how to have a relationship with themselves or anybody else, okay? So I could keep going on about that. But then the other thing is that these dysfunctional beliefs you have, if you're like 50 and 60, they're so ingrained into you that I'm talking to somebody and it's like the first hour, it's like I'm talking to a wall unless they do their homework first and then come to me. And we give you homework so that when you do come to me, we can get right to work, right? So I know that everybody means well, but I'm going to tell you something. The information that the average person have is killing themselves and killing their family. And the best thing that you could do for your family when your family are sick and they have cancer is to let them know that you love them and hug them often. And don't go in there if you're going to cry, and don't go in there if you're fearful, and don't go in there if you don't know how to talk about just calm things or you don't know how to give them courage. There's where the real cancer lies. You've been so crippled emotionally that you shouldn't be around them if they're sick. Okay? Question.
All right, a question from Jesse. I've been blessed by using the cleansing tea and structured water and other supplements. I am sure deep tissue works well for fibroids and breasts, but I'm concerned about using deep tissue for ovarian cysts that may be cancerous. Please advise. Also, what is your advice on using cannabis oil to reduce the tumor growth?
Well, I know cannabis oil works, but you know, it's really what you, like I said, that it's hard to answer that question. Also, I already answered that question for Jesse, but I'll answer it again. All right? So we wouldn't be going in to break up the cyst. That's not what we're doing. We're going in when we're not breaking anything. What we're doing is you've got a whole bunch of muscle tissue and tissue or organ tissue that is now scarred up. And we're actually going to go in and we're going to gently bring that apart, because all these fibers are stuck together. There's a knot in there, there's a block in there. And we're going to allow the blood flow and the lymph flow to go in. And guess what, Jesse? If you get rid of the scar tissue, then you don't have the blocks or the dams that are damming the infection that create the cyst. Nobody's going in to break up a cyst. And you know what? The other thing is okay, they say that you should never ever, or somebody says that you should never ever go and do anything with cancer because you don't want to circulate it. Well, I'm not going in and cutting a knife and damaging cells. That's not what I'm doing. So don't get me mixed up with something else. And the other thing is this. Then that means that you should never walk around. That means you should never exercise if you have cancer. That means you shouldn't do anything that creates circulation, which basically means don't eat well either. So how much circulation? So, if I increase the circulation, I'm going to create cancer. But if I don't have the circulation increased, then I'm creating more cancer. Does anybody understand here that this doesn't make any sense at all? Okay. All right. Tumors, the same fibrotic scar tissue found in a sports injury, post-surgery, or any other scar tissue caused by physical or emotional imbalance, is the same fibrotic scar tissue that you would find in a tumor.